think that's better. Yeah. Try it.
Can you hear it now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can everybody hear that? All right. You can hear it, then let me know. Before we get into the Q&A, okay, we have part of our crew here. I'd like to introduce Anna and my son, Steve. I'm going to get into the Q&A, and then afterwards, you have some questions and details and so forth. Smoke and ask them what has to answer them. Okay. Okay, how did all this come about? I happen to have a special birthday coming up, and I said, do you have any ideas for an upcoming birthday, something that you want to do? And I said, matter of fact, I do. Okay, I'd like to go back to the BVI one more time. And so that's what happened. So on the right-hand side is my oldest son, Herb. Next is my next son, Bruce. Next is John in the blue. Okay, and then of course Steve, you now recognize because he's here in the room. And so that started off the plan. Why would we go to the BVI? Some of you are familiar with the BVI, some are not. So here's to give you an idea about the BVI. The BVI consists of about 60 islands. 16 of them are inhabited. Okay, the largest 12 miles is Tortola. It's the one in the middle, and it's the highest elevation is about 1,700 feet. So you get an idea about the size that you're talking about. Those at 20, maybe 30 miles at tops, one end to the other. All these little red dots are places that you can anchor or visit, spend the day. The airport is located on a place called Beef Island, and you get a shuttle that will take you over to the road town, which is the main largest town, I guess, on Tortola. And why did we pick it? Okay, we've been there before, and there's always trade winds, generally about 10 to 15 we've experienced. We normally go like in the summertime. I don't know what it's like in the winter time, but we always seem to have a breeze. We have line of sight navigation. You can see the island. That's where you're going to go. You don't really need anything else. You say, okay, this is where we're going to go, and you go. There's lots of protected anchorages, those little red dots I was telling you about. They're beautiful beaches. I mean, they're just white, okay, and the water is super clear. Great for snorkeling, right? Oh, yeah. Absolutely great for snorkeling. Interesting destinations to go to, and there are unique dining places also. What was our criteria for selecting a boat? Okay. First thing was we wanted to have a single boat, and we all wanted to be together. Now we had 4 sons and their wives and myself, so it means 9 people. And so automatically we needed probably to get a catamaran. Secondly, we wanted a catamaran. I did, because I had never sailed a catamaran ever. But maybe a small 17-footer, but that was the biggest one I ever did. And so I just wanted to experience, I wanted to see what it felt like. I wanted to get the newest boat possible. If you're ever chartered down in the Caribbean, you're probably better off getting the newest boat possible, because the weather and the charters are pretty hard on boats down there. So you get an old boat and you get it at a low price, okay, you might end up being broken down half of the time. And that has happened to us. We've ripped sails, we've had stoves go out, transmissions go out, all sorts of things that happen down there. This time around, I said, let's get the newest boat possible. And last thing, we wanted to do a bareboat. In other words, we want to run it ourselves. And a bareboat is everything except provisioning. Okay? And then you take care of everything yourself. So we decided on this boat. We needed 5 cabins. Okay, we decided on a Leopard 50. Okay, to give you an idea of the layout, here we have one stateroom, another. So that's 4, and one here is 5. In addition to that, if you happen to have a captain on board, there's also a small bunking here where he can bunk down, and it's really pretty small. That's the basic boat. Okay. To give you some idea of the statistics of it, okay, It runs around $1.3 million. Okay. It'll take the overall length is 50 foot. Now look at the beam. It's 26 foot high. I mean, can you believe it? It's huge. And it only draws about 5 foot. Mass is 77 foot. Okay. You can get it in different configurations. Canara puts the 5. There's 243 gallons of fuel and 185 of water. Okay, that's pretty light on the water, but we have a water maker. Okay, so we were making water. We never had to go pick up water. Hang on. Oh, yeah, there we go. Sorry. And also, the displacement is 21 tons. So you want to be careful when you bring it into the dock. Okay, so now what I'm going to show you is a video. Okay, and it'll start out and you'll see the boat going through the water. People ask, how do the catamarans go through the water? Here you get you'll be right on the water. You'll be able to see how it's actually moving along. Okay, or they're going along. Commission. Okay, so you get a general idea. Now we're going to show you some pictures from the type of boat that we have. So this is the galley area. Got a 4-burner cooktop. It's a propane separate oven down over here. This is a refrigerator, a pull-out drawer refrigerator, and this is a pull-out drawer freezer. above it is a microwave. That's actually a TV, and we never turned it on, so we don't even know if it works, but I'm sure they probably did. Lots of other accessories, appliances here. And then, over here, you'll see, then we had another refrigerator. This boat actually had 3 refrigerator areas. You either can make them into freezers, okay, or you can make them into refrigerators depending upon how you set. I mean, we never were looking really for ice, okay, or anything like that. We made one into the freezer and kept any ice in there, and the other one filled up with beer, and the other was food. And here's daughter-in-law Peg, okay, cooking board her famous chili recipe. But cooking was easy. The boat is super stable. Nothing slides around, right? And nothing slides around at all. All this stuff you see on the countertops and so forth were there to begin with, okay? And during the whole trip, nothing slid on the floor. It's absolutely amazing. You know?
What fun is that?
Huh? Okay, so again, going forward, this is the sink area, and you can see the windows are all around, so you have a panoramic view wherever you are. And this is the other refrigerators that I mentioned. Over here is a nav station, and then you have a door that goes forward to a forward cockpit. The headroom throughout, I mean, I'm 6 foot-ish, okay, and never had to bend down, never hit my head. There's just so much headroom, it's amazing. This is the port half side, okay, they had a table, and the table could rotate around so you could adjust it depending on how you're sitting. Then these leaves would open out, okay, and give you plenty of room to sit 8 or 10 people comfortably. Okay, if you go to the forward area, this was an interesting thing because you sit there over in here. There's a nice breeze. You're in the shade. There's a big overhang. You can see what was going on. It's a great place to read. And then a couple of steps that takes you up to the trampoline. And then they supplied you these beanbag chairs, and they were used quite frequently. There's Ann there. Hey, Ann. And then going towards the aft, we have another outside eating area here, exactly the same way. Big table, and then there's a couple of stools here that are permanently mounted. And then this is a seating area over here. You can go up then to the fly bridge. This is actually a pull-out refrigerator here, and that's where we kept all our soft drinks and beer and the like of that. This is actually a barbecue, okay? And so you just open it up, and there's another picture of Steve cooking on. I'll be showing that later. And then you go to the upper deck, okay, which is like right above this area here. And the upper deck has a wraparound cushion seating area and a little table. This is actually for cocktails or when you're sailing along. Okay, it's just a nice area to be. And then off of that is the fly bridge. And of course, you have your wheels. And then we had 3 electric winches. Okay, and we'll take a look, see all the lines are brought back to the same central location. Yep. Here's Steve. He's cooking chicken, right? Yeah. And so what kind of grill is it? Okay. If you can believe it, it's a push-button electric grill. Okay. So whatever temperature that you want, you just hit the button, right, Steve? Yeah. Easy to use. There's no worrying about charcoal and starter, and you can't get it going and so forth. You just hit the button, and then when you're done, you just turn it off, drop down the one cover, and then the other cover on the top. Very convenient.
Earlier, what fun is that?
This is how we look from the stern. You have a boarding ladder here, and then a little back deck. This is the davit. This is an electric davit, so you hook it onto the dinghy and you hit the button, and then it comes up.
Lovely.
And that, now that is fun, but. Huh? we had a huge amount of power. Okay, we had, I mean, a solar cells on the top, and we had a generator. Okay, then we had 2 engines. So we had.
No, I was just curious, because I could see battery things, saving nothing.
Well, we ran the generator a lot, by the way.
Yeah.
Running the generator was good. It was really very quiet. The generator was like between the two pontoons, whatever you want to call those things on the outside. So the noise was more or less in the middle, and it wasn't in the sleeping area, and it was forward. And they had it double insulated in boxes, and so it was really quite good. Here we are on the up by the wheel and so forth. There's 3 electric punches here. These had foot switches. So you step on the foot switch, and of course something and here's a wind indicator and apparent wind. There's a sharp display. We also had an automatic pilot, and we use that quite a bit of the time. This is for your music, so you can control your music up here, whatever you want to listen to. And these are light switches, and throughout they had like concealed rope lighting, and you could dim the lights according to the way you would like. This display is multi-purpose because here it's being used as a chart display, and you hit the button, okay, and now it shows you the status of all the systems that you have on the boat. You know, where the water, your batteries, and fuel, and so forth are. And then there's a 3rd mode you put in, and that's cameras, because the boat had 2 cameras. One was forward, to the forward, and another one was facing aft. So you could see from that position kind of what was going on. The visibility, the front visibility, looking down, was not the best, okay, because I couldn't see. I could see like people standing up, but I really couldn't see the front of the boat, bow of the boat. Okay. This is just a typical stateroom, plenty of room, queen size beds. Every stateroom had air conditioning with a separate thermostat. The way they ran the air conditioning, they had one central refrigeration unit, and they pumped glycol or something around to the various air handlers in each compartment, and that's the way you control your temperature. So there wasn't any fighting about pushing the temperature up and pushing it down, which we had on different outings with this family before. They have a freshwater flush heads, which is nice. So it's just like being at home. And they do something differently, okay? I've always been brought up, you always put the holding tank under the floorboards, okay? What they do is they actually have it built into the wall, okay? Yeah, okay. It's kind of strange, but the holding tanks are actually up in the wall. The advantage, and by the way, there's no loader, so don't worry about that part of it. But when you go to dump the head, you don't have to run any pumps or anything else like that, because you're above the water line. So all you do is you open the valve and let it go, and then turn it off. I mean, nice way to do it. Okay, big boat. Okay, never sailed it before. Was I concerned? Yeah, I was probably scared to death. Okay, because it's a 50-foot boat. That's good size. Although I've been accustomed to some that are close to that. Never sailed a catamaran. Have no idea. Okay, twin screw. Never ever did that. Our crew hadn't been sailing for a while, so we all had to sort of get up to speed. And we worried about the airfare and provisioning and all the details. So that was the thing that we sort of addressed. These points we addressed as we went forward. This is our planning process. Basically, in January, we got all our airline reservations squared away, so everybody knew when everybody was coming in, so that worked out fine. Then we had like a Zoom meeting. This one was in March. We had the Zoom meeting in March, and one of the things that we decided to do, which actually worked out, because it's a complicated boat, was to sort of assign various areas depending upon your expertise. Okay? And so Steve was in charge of the navigation and the marine and the sailing and rigging, but he currently is a sailor. My son Ferg, he's an engineer, so we gave him a generator and how to make water and like that. And so everybody had sort of a responsibility before they even got on the boat. Of course, we went through the provisioning and where we're going to go, and so we have these meetings periodically. This is the road town area. You come in from the airport over here, this is the main road. Eventually come all the way over to here, and then you come down here, okay, and this is the moorings. So they have one dock here, another dock, another dock, another dock. I've never seen so many boats in one spot. That's my way. Near the office, they also have provisioning. They have swimming pool. They have changing rooms and so forth right in this location. First thing we tackled was provisioning. And actually, Ann over here was a key person in that process. We basically developed a spreadsheet. And if you want to see them later on, come on up because I actually have them with me. We ordered everything through moorings, okay? And so this is what we ended up, about 5 or 6 pages. And we ordered just about everything. We did pick up, I understand, some meats and so forth down there, in addition to what we already had on the list. This turned out to be, just to give you an idea, $1,500. Okay, 9 people, $1,500. Seems like a lot of money, and then all of a sudden you divide it down. By the way, it only turns out to be $179 per person for a period of 8 days. Various guidebooks and so forth, they have the listings and telephone numbers and contacts for any provisioning. So if you're going down there, you can inquire and see what they might have to offer. Thank you. When you're ready, so I call Know Your Boat. Okay. The idea was to get everybody familiar with the boat and its procedures. Okay. Before we got on the catamaran, and so we did that by actually getting a whole bunch of instructional videos, and I have pages and pages of videos on docking, boat handling, sail handling, reefing, anchoring, so forth. And then I would periodically send them out to each of the boats so they can get an idea of what the boat would be like. We want to play another video for you, okay? And this I found to be most helpful. How do you run a twin screw? Okay, this boat doesn't have a thruster on it. It's 50 foot long. It's got a lot of windage, okay? But the engines are in the aft end, okay, and they're way out, okay? And you can really control the boat very easily, okay, by just using the throttles. Now, the question of which way the boat is going to go, this is an instructional video. It sort of gives you an idea of how it works.
We are the Multi-Hull Group, a multi-award-winning dealership in Australia, specialising in catamarans. Join us as our expert team teach you all about anchoring, docking, rigging, sail trim, maintenance, and so much more, so you can build confidence in your catamaran handling ability. In this episode, Joe Fox will use the Lagoon 42 to explain how to safely park your catamaran. Enjoy.
The best thing you can do to simplify the whole operation is to remove the wheel. So what we've done down here, we've locked the wheel completely so we can forget about that, and we're just going to operate the boat using the 2 throttles. A really good trick that we use when teaching our clients how to drive the boat is to hold your thumbs like this. So if I push the starboard engine forwards, the front of the boat is going to go to the left. If I pull the starboard engine backwards, back of the boat is going to go to the left. So it's quite a clever trick to hold your thumbs here and to just figure out what's going to happen to the boat when you do the throttle movement. So there are a couple of ways in which you can park the boat on the dock. Two main ways is bow first and then turn in, or reverse parking, like you would reverse park your car in a car spot. So I'm going to demonstrate both ways. We've got the drone ahead, so you'll see.
This gives you an idea of one of the instructional videos, and there are a number of them sort of the same way. If you are intimidated or you think you need some extra guidance and so forth, pull out these videos and watch them. They're very, very helpful, very clear, and there's lots of them. Okay, so now, hey, it's time to go down and really start this whole thing. Now, we mentioned earlier that there was going to be 9 of us, okay? Wouldn't you know that one of my sons and his wife came down with a respiratory, whatever was going around at that time, okay? And it turns out it wasn't possible, no matter how they tried. We would do it later and so forth, but it didn't work out. So they never made it. We were actually 7 at the end. So you're flying down, you're flown down to the BVI, go over to the Bahamas and so forth. It's just a wonderful flight, I think. You kind of look down, you see the sands and the water, and it's really good. Lovely, lovely view. Okay. So we came in on Friday afternoon. We all came in on Friday afternoon. I mentioned they have an area here where you can just go and change out of your street clothes and get into shorts and something cooler. You have over here a bar and a swimming pool, so you can go there and relax. You can't get on your boats until 6 o'clock at night, at least on Friday. Okay, and take a look at the number of boats that they have. They have some monohulls here, okay, but you know, where else do you see a monohull? I don't really see any at all. I mean, it just goes on and on. So it's a catamaran world. Sure. Here's another shot of the this is the office area, okay, and so these are dressing rooms, and I mentioned the restaurant and the bar and so forth is over here. And this is looking down the dock from catamaran. Okay, so what we did on board, first thing was the provisioning, and all the provisioning was there. So we had boxes and boxes and then some more boxes of stuff. And if you do it yourself, okay, you probably want to take your provisioning list and check off everything from the box. You get everything, because sometimes they substitute things or they might not have included it. So it's good to do that. And then they're very helpful. You can go back and they'll square it away with you. It's good to take an inventory as you're putting the stuff away. After doing that, okay, then we went and we had a very nice dinner at the Moorings restaurant. And then we slept on the boat. Normally, you don't sleep on the boat. Normally, you would go on a Saturday, you get on it, you can only board after 12 o'clock. And then you have to go through procedures that I'll go through, okay? And then you can finally push away from the dock. So you lose a lot of time. So what we did is they allow you to sleep on the boat the night before. You pay for it, okay? But I think at the end of the day, you might agree that it's probably well worth it, because you're able to sleep on the boat. And here are the advantages. We got all this stuff stowed. We weren't in a hurry. Okay? Normally, if you want to get going, you want to stimulate yourself and get going if you're doing it on a Saturday. We unpacked only one time. In other words, we didn't stay at a motel and then unpack and then repack. We just unpacked one time. It gave us an opportunity to go around the boat and now check out things. So we were lifting up floorboards and the like of that to see, you know, what's what. And then we left Saturday morning in the morning. This is Saturday morning. It's funny. The guy comes around and bringing all the dinghies. I think that day they sent out about 35 boats, 39 boats. So this is a big business down there. And this is all people. We had Steve had arranged to rent a kayak and a paddleboard, so they're already on the deck and in place. Next thing you go through is a boat orientation. Okay, so this is one of the fellows from the mooring, and he runs through everything from top to bottom, all the details. It's amazing how much stuff that there is. the safety setup, how all the electrical system works. And it was good to have the responsibility split at that particular time because that person who's in charge of the water maker, he paid particular attention to it. Okay, and the guy in charge of the engine, he paid particular attention to that. It's a good way to do it. As soon, okay, then we're all done, and he cast off, and he took it out. Okay. Now, I say here, thereafter, he took the boat out of the marina. Amen. Special number. Okay. I gotta tell you that from the time we said, okay, let's go ahead and do it, I was worried how to get the big catamaran away from the dock, okay, and then bring it into the dock. Well, if you do it with them, okay, they do it for you. They take it away from the dock, okay, and you'll see later on, I never had to bring it into the dock after all. Okay. They'll meet us and they bring it in. As soon as they cleared the deck and I took the helm, okay, got instruction on how to run the boat, basically. We picked up a mooring, okay, without any incident, pretty smoothly. And then we reviewed the anchoring, raised the sails, reefed them, sailed the boat around, trolled the ship, and that was it. And then he calls up, Chase boat comes out, picks him up, and we're on our way. And it's 11 o'clock in the morning. So we have like essentially the whole day. The whole day the same. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Hey, finally going. Okay. And then over here, there's a boat U.S. flotilla. So.
Hey, Ed, I hate to interrupt, but we have another group coming in after us, so if you wouldn't mind, we're going to try to get this presentation done so we can share it online in some way. So we need to finish up in 2 minutes.
This is really quite a place, and talk to me about it, because this is a place we must go to. Oh, let's see. Let's do this, okay? I have the cost of everything cost in a lot more detail. We can go through it at another time.
What was the most cool thing that you did?
Well, for me, the coolest thing was to be with my 3 sons. It doesn't get any good.
How about the biggest surprise? What were you most surprised about?
It's how comfortable the catamaran was.
What was the one thing which you knew that you didn't know before you left? You did an incredible amount of preparation, but there usually is something still you go, I didn't know that. Was there anything like that?
There's one thing that you should be aware of, okay, and that's the moorings. Down there, there's a few moorings, and we're in the off season, so I think that the demand for moorings is very high. And they have something called bogey ball.
Yeah, that's key, bogey ball, because all the anchorages now are taken up by moorings, and if you don't get one, you're out of luck. And you're not supposed to be out after dark and stuff. So,
But the idea is basically get on your cell phone at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's like getting a Southwest, like, and you wait, and then you go, bingo,
and they seem to go away. They disappear.
and you get it, and then you're set for the day. If you don't get it, okay, that means you're gonna have to make sure you get into that harbor or anchorage early. So you lose a good part of the day, and then you're also worried about it all day long. You know, I hope we can get it. You think there's gonna be, all that. So the bogey ball, or whatever they call it, it's a very good system, okay? But you better be 702. Okay, well, all right.
So I think what was when Ted came back, we were at one of the functions, and I said, "How was your trip?" And he said, "I absolutely loved it. He said it was one of the best trips I ever did. And he said, I enjoyed being on the catamaran. And despite the 1.3 million price, one of the things I want to make sure that I do before we leave is in the back, we have our CDC 50th anniversary mugs that Brian helped get together and order. They're $15, and I get a little bit of a cut off of this. So instead of the 1.3 million, if we sell a couple of these, it'll be $1,999,950. Okay, so we'd like. So these are again commemorative for the season for the mugs. Ted, again, thank you so much, your family. What an absolutely wonderful trip, and we're going to try to work on getting it so we can get this out a little bit more to the other members.
Are there any quick